Hey, how's it going guys? Captain Kuba here and welcome to another God of War video. Today, I'm finally breaking my silence on Odin, the new big baddie of the God of War series. Or at least, was. Ever since we played God of War 2018, Odin had a presence without really having a presence. This was for the most part achieved thanks to Mimir's involvement in the story, who continuously talked about how evil and manipulative Odin is. But even before that, Santa Monica was hyping up Odin in the Lost Pages podcast. Here, they talked about his shape-shifting abilities as well as his really dark side.
Allfather, your presence honors me, Gro started, but now was not the best time. Gro's excuse was cut short, as Odin's hand clasped hard around her throat. The skies darkened with growing gray clouds. He drew her near and demanded, "Seer, tell me what you've seen."
Sadly, in my opinion, we didn't get to see the full picture of Odin while playing God of War Ragnarok. Don't get me wrong, the Odin we saw was very entertaining. He had this mafia boss vibe to him, and seeing how he manipulated the people around him was everything we all wanted to see. But I also think he came across as a bit of a wimp, and I understand that's what Santa Monica was going for, but him losing the mask in such a stupid way is something I will never understand.
Looks like war after all.
This is one of those moments in God of War Ragnarok that makes me wish we would have seen more of Odin's dangerous side. But now that Sindri erased him from existence, those hopes are gone, right? Odin will never return. Well, what if I tell you that there's a moment in God of War Ragnarok that might point to his return? Let me show you what I'm talking about.
You don't get it! No!
I bet you didn't see it. I know at first I didn't because I was too focused on Mage Odin taking the center stage. But did you notice what he did before? He released Hugin and Munin. But why? Why was it so imperative that Odin released his ravens at this exact moment? To me, this doesn't make much sense because Odin uses these ravens to keep tabs on all the realms and the people he has an interest in. But Odin at this moment is too busy fighting off two of the most powerful gods he's ever fought, as well as a very capable young god. So if this is the hardest fight he's ever been engaged in, why is he focusing on sending his ravens on a mission? Interestingly enough, Odin tried to do the same while Freya had a hold on him.
I always loved you, you know?
You've never loved anyone!
Real time!
At first I thought he released Munin to distract Freya so he could free himself. But if that was the case, he would have used the spell to free himself the moment Freya became aware of Munin. But instead, he freed himself when Freya's attention returned to him, meaning that Odin wasn't trying to distract Freya, but instead was trying to save one of his ravens. But why? Why is Odin showing so much love for these two ravens? Not only did Odin promise his son Balder that by finding an entrance to Jotunheim, he would be able to reverse his curse, which was a total lie by the way, but he also killed his other son in cold blood. As these two examples show, Odin doesn't care about those around them, he only cares about how he can use them to achieve his goals. So forgive me if I'm somewhat hesitant to believe Odin was just looking out for his two favorite ravens. No, he had a plan for them, but what plan exactly? Despite what we saw in God of War Ragnarok, Odin is one of the most powerful beings in this universe. This is mostly thanks to his marriage to Freya, who regrettably taught him how to craft very powerful spells. Spells that he would later use against Freya herself. These would include stealing her warrior spirit, as well as creating a spell that left her trapped in Midgard. But his misuse of magic didn't stop there. When it came to Hugin and Munin, we learned that at one time they were regular ravens, until one day Odin captured them and experimented with them by wiping their memories and binding them to his own will. But returning to the clip I showed you moments ago, I have to ask, what use is it to bind someone to your will if you're not going to be there to enforce it? Why release the ravens moments before your death? Well, what if I tell you that Hugin and Munin are not bound to Odin's will so much as they are Odin himself? To explain what I mean, let me stop talking about this powerful old magic dude and instead talk about this powerful old magic dude. So if you haven't watched the Harry Potter movie and don't want them ruined for you, now it's the time to stop this video. Anyway, in the Harry Potter movies, we learn of something called a horcrux, and because I don't want an entire fandom making fun of me in the comments section, I'm just going to read from the Harry Potter wiki to explain what a horcrux is. A horcrux was an object in which a dark wizard had hidden a fragment of his soul in order to become immortal. As long as the object remained intact, so too did the soul fragment inside it, keeping the maker anchored to the world of the living even if their body suffered fatal damage. The most well-known user of horcruxes was Voldemort, who successfully achieved immortality by hiding parts of his soul inside 7 objects. Now with this God of War theory, I want to argue that Hugin and Munin are very similar to the horcruxes Voldemort uses. But instead of containing parts of Odin's soul, I want to argue that these 2 ravens contain duplicates of Odin's soul or being, or in other words, clones of Odin. Yeah, I know I sound like I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel to make a video, but let me point out something I'm sure you didn't notice. What is Odin's reaction when Freya kills one of his ravens? No! Did you hear how distressed Odin's no sounded? No! We previously established that Odin doesn't care about those around him. For crying out loud, he killed 2 of his sons. So I doubt very much that he would sound this distressed at the sight of Freya killing one of his pets. No. Instead, I think the reason Odin sounded so distressed is because Freya was killing one of his duplicates. This theory would also explain why Mugen is absent throughout most of the game. Think about it, we see both ravens at the beginning of the story, but after the fight with Thor, we only see Hugin. He's the one that guides Atreus to Asgard, and he's constantly in Odin's study. Meanwhile, Mugen is nowhere to be found. And I think this is because Mugen has the job of stepping in as Tyr while Odin takes care of matters in Asgard. Otherwise, Odin would have to teleport between Asgard and Sindri's house with incredible timing. Imagine Sindri wants to, I don't know, sweep Tyr's room. But at this very same time, Odin is giving Atreus the tour of Asgard. Sindri would knock on Tyr's door for some time, but after a while of knocking, he would begin to get suspicious at Tyr's lack of response. This wouldn't be an issue if Odin had a duplicate of himself pretending to be Tyr, allowing him to be in 2 places at once. Which is funny, because this is the very same thing he tells Freya in a mocking tone.
Freya, please. Can't be in 2 places at once, Frigg.
With this line, Odin is essentially telling Freya that he has surpassed her in power, because not even the Queen of the Vanir was able to make copies of herself, while he, a brute Aesir god, could. If this theory turns out to be correct, it's going to change how you see the final fight with Odin, because you will no longer see 3 gods just beating the out of Odin. Instead, you're going to see Odin doing what he does best, scrambling to make a plan at the last minute to make sure he lives on even if one of his copies dies. So when Odin says this,
I have to know what happens next. I will never stop.
these aren't just the ramblings of a dying old man. This is a promise to Atreus that one day he will resume his quest for ultimate knowledge. And what do we see after the Ragnarok battle?
Huh, Hugin made it out. Good for him.
So yes, this moment of Atreus coming across Hugin is what prompted this theory. I understand that some of the points I mentioned at the beginning of the video could be considered circumstantial evidence or flat out shaky evidence. But aside from teasing the return of Odin, I really don't know why Santa Monica would keep Hugin alive by the end of the game. We know Atreus will be traveling the world in search of the remaining giants, and Odin's mask had writings from all over the world, so maybe both of their goals are aligned. Atreus, not knowing that Hugin is Odin in disguise, could take the Raven on his travels around the world. Meanwhile, Odin would be secretly getting closer to achieve his goal. And at one point, when Odin thinks he has the upper hand on Atreus, he would once again reveal himself as the puppet master that he's always been. I'm not saying this is exactly what will happen in the sequels. In fact, Santa Monica could have just left the Raven alive because they felt like it. All I'm saying with this video is that, if they wanted to, they could easily bring back Odin. But what do you guys think? Is Santa Monica teasing the return of Odin with Hugin? Or am I just overlooking this small detail too much? Whatever your thoughts and theories are, make sure to leave them in the comments section below. Now, as always, I would like to give a big thanks to all of my members for supporting the channel monthly. People like Kimmy Only, Dylan Down Under, TKD, Maxwell555, and Raging Rocky, to name a few, are a big reason this channel is still going. I really couldn't do this without your support, and for that, I thank you. I would also like to thank everyone who likes and shares my videos. I know it doesn't seem like much, but trust me, it really does help. And with that said, thanks for watching, and remember, go forth in the name of Ragnarök. Old habit. Just play the outro.